G-Body How To Remove Your Steering Wheel. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brian here at Classic G-Body Garage, and I am deep into these parts cars, stripping these cars down for parts, posting them for sale on my Facebook page. If you're not a member of the Classic G-Body Garage Facebook page, the link is down below in the description. Make sure you click on that and join the thousands of people that are already a member and having a lot of fun. Alright guys, well today is a G-Body how-to day, and I'm going to show you guys how to remove the steering wheel in your G-Body. And yes, maybe some of you watching this video might say, yeah, whatever, that's easy, I've done that before. But however, I get so many messages through Facebook, through YouTube on how to do some basic repairs and basic removal of parts. And since I've taken apart hundreds of these cars and worked on many of these cars, I kind of take it for granted that I know how to do this. And some of the basic things like removing a steering wheel, some of you may not know how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that today. So the basic parts that you're going to need is a steering wheel puller kit, or a puller kit. This can also be used on a harmonic balancer. It's just a general puller kit. You can probably get it at Harbor Freight or your auto parts store, or rent one from your auto parts store. But this is my kit. You have to bear with me, my allergies are killing me today. But you have your puller, the threaded shaft, and then an assortment of bolts that go through the puller itself, and you'll see how that is all set up here in a minute. And then you need a set of sockets, whatever fit your puller, threaded rod there, and of course your ratchet. You'll need to have yourself a smaller set of tools just in case your car does not have the sport steering wheel like this one. It has the horn pad on it, and therefore you'll have to remove the horn pad to get to the bolt in the center, because the bolts or screws are on the back side of the horn pad. So in order to get the steering wheel off, like I said, if you have the horn pad, go ahead and remove it now. Sport steering wheel, most of them just have a center cap that you go ahead, pull that off, and of course you have the wire, the horn contact wire that is attached to that. So in order to get that off, you're going to go ahead and unplug it. Alright, so the horn contact, the horn center button is off. So now you have this wire sitting here. Now in order to remove this wire, you just go ahead, and there is a plastic cylinder right here. You can see that goes inside the steering column. You just push it down, twist to the left, and it pulls out. It has a little locking mechanism on it. It's almost like a socket on your light bulb. Just push it down and twist it, and it locks into place. And there's where it locks into place. So you got those parts off. Now you're gonna have to remove this clip right here. So you do need one extra tool, either a set of pliers or a flathead screwdriver, just to pop this clip off here. So let me go ahead and take care of that. Alright, the clip is removed. Now, next thing to do is you want to remove this center bolt on here. So go ahead and get your socket and your extension and your ratchet. You get it on there, and go ahead and remove the bolt. Oop. There you go, loosened it up. Alright, just loosen that up there. And some may think that, hey, that bolt is off of there, there's nothing else holding that wheel on there, so give it a tug. Well, guess what? That wheel ain't going anywhere. Do not grab a hold of this wheel and pull it, because you're going to end up bending the ring on your wheel. The wheel is not going to come off, and that is why you need the puller. And the reason why the wheel does not come off of there when that bolt is removed, because the steering column is a tapered shaft. So once you tighten that nut on there, it is a self-tightening tapered shaft. Alright, so that wheel is stuck on there. Some people grab a hold of the wheel and yank with all their might, and maybe it might come off, but like I said, you're going to bend the wheel. Or they pound the center there with the hammer, pulling on the wheel at the same time. Well, yeah, however, even though that might work, you're going to, for one thing, mess up the steering shaft. You might mess up the threads, so the nut isn't going to go back on. And then also, I know this isn't going to show up on my camera because my camera's so shitty, but however, in order to make sure the wheel is on in the right position, as far as top dead center, as far as your alignment goes, yeah, how do you know that? Because this splined shaft, the steering shaft is splined, all right? And it's not an offset spline to go in the same position every time. So to make sure your wheel is in the 12 o'clock position, there is a line on the steering shaft itself, and then there is a line at the top of the steering wheel. And it's almost like the timing marks on your timing chain. You line up the marks on the shaft and on the steering wheel itself, and that's how you know your steering wheel is at the 12 o'clock position. Alright, so next thing to do is get the puller on here. So when you have everything undone, you can see there are 2 holes on either side of the steering shaft. These are threaded holes. Alright, so what you're going to do is take the bolts in your kit and find out which bolts fit those holes. Alright, so let me take one of mine and thread it in. Alright, so that fits. So you're going to get two bolts. Alright, so let me remove that. You're going to take your puller. Now this puller has a flat side and a curved side. Alright, the curved side is going to be facing down because you want the bolts to rest flat against the flat area. Alright, so you can see how that fits in there. The bolt holes you can see on either side, and then the center where the steering shaft goes. So next thing you do, put your threaded rod in there, get that all threaded in there. Alright, so once this is on there and you got it all threaded down, see that tab right there? That's going to sit right center itself right there. Alright, so once you have this all assembled, the next thing you do is run the bolts through your puller and down inside the steering wheel. Alright, now this is what we're looking like. We have the bolts run down inside the steering wheel. Now you're going to want to make sure that these bolts are threaded in equal length, and in order to find that out, is you look on the side here and make sure your puller is as even as possible, because if these bolts are not in evenly, this puller is going to pull to one side. So make sure these bolts are run down as even as possible. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do, you got your threaded shaft here. Go ahead and get that on the steering shaft, snug it up, make sure it's nice and tight. Alright, so now we're nice and tight. Next thing you do is grab your ratchet, get it on the wheel like this, grab a hold of the wheel with one hand, and the other hand grab a hold of the wrench. So I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up, and I'll show you how the wheel pops off there. Alright, grab a hold of the wheel and slowly start tightening it down. There it goes. It just pops off just like that. There you go. The wheel is off. Alright, at this point your steering wheel is now off. Now this is what the steering shaft looks like. Once the steering wheel is off, you can see the splines right here. Those splines are not offset. So when you put the wheel back on, I mentioned there is a dimple at the top of the steering shaft. And then there's a dimple at the top of the steering wheel as well. Align those two up, and then you know your steering wheel is at the correct 12 o'clock position. Now, when you put the steering wheel back on and you put the nut back on, just tighten it nice and tight. Get your horn wire back on, get your steering contact or your horn contact back on, and then you are good to go. Alright guys, if you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below, and also make sure you give it a thumbs up. And lastly, make sure you're a member of the Classic G Body Garage Facebook page, and I mentioned that the link is below in the description as well, guys. Alright, there is a G Body how to remove your steering wheel. Until the next Classic G Body Garage video, keep those G Bodies rolling.